Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's live stream. Hey, Line. Thanks for being here. You're in the woods. That's cool. You're actually out. You're in the woods. That's cool. You're actually out camping. I'm getting feedback here. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? What's happening? Why? Let's see. Can you hear me now? Oh, golly. Let me know if you can hear me. I don't know. Still no sound. What is going on? Sound. Okay, it says my microphone is on. Now you can? Let me know. Can you hear me now? I didn't do anything different. That's weird. Let me make sure. Oh, good. You can hear me now. Okay, cool. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, hi. Hi, Jen. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. You can hear me as well. Okay, cool. Today we are talking about, that's always a fear, right? Like technology. I actually had a problem with, for you YouTube creators, you'll understand this. I had a problem with Canva telling me today that I was trying to download my thumbnail and that it had an element of it that was not downloadable. And yeah, that I needed to go edit that element. And I'm like, I don't know what element I'm supposed to edit. Okay, today I am going to do my very best at keeping it so 35 more minutes at the top of the hour. That's my goal. Let's see what we can do. I put a poll in the chat. Curious to know which of these you find yourself doing most often. Always putting other people first, living by rules and by roles, things that you identify with, suppressing your emotions or healthy anger, or fear disappointing someone. Anyone, actually. So I found some research a few months ago that has been fascinating to me about people pleasing and autoimmune diseases. And I don't know if anyone here attending has ever been diagnosed with things like rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's thyroiditis or why am I blanking? Lupus. There's another well-known one. Those are all autoimmune diseases. And Dr. Gabor Mate, I'm curious to know if anybody has heard of him. He is a physician. He lives in Canada now, but he was originally from Hungary. And he's a interesting looking fellow. I know he's in his 70s, I believe, late 70s. And he's just a really interesting looking guy. But he has studied women. He's a physician, if I didn't say that. He has studied autoimmune diseases, and in particular with patients that he has worked with, even more in particular, women that he knew before they developed an autoimmune disease, and then, continuing working with them after they developed it. And he has really solidified this research through his own findings. And the research shows that almost 80% of all autoimmune diseases occur in women. And he started asking like, why is this? Why would this be true? It's not genetics. It's not bad luck, right? It doesn't have to do with our hormones or anything like that. What he found was that the women that he studied, they had four main characteristics, all of them in common with each other. And so that's what I want to talk about today. When I was 33, I had been married for 2.5 years, and I found out my husband was having an affair. I'm going to put the link for the video where I talked about this down in the description after this is over. I have to make myself a note or I'll forget. So that you can go watch that video. But so I'd been married for 2.5 years, found out he had been having an affair for quite a while. And 2.5 weeks later, I went to the doctor because I wasn't feeling well and found out that I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition. I don't my thing just changed, but I don't see anything new in there. Maybe somebody just voted and everybody's voting for fear of disappointing anyone. That was my biggest people pleasing hurdle to overcome. And I still struggle with that at times. It has gotten a lot better, but that hurdle is still there. And that's another video in and of itself about these people pleasing hurdles that we need to overcome. But so I found out I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Fast forward 30 years, literally, I'm 63 now. I did not know the connection between thyroiditis and autoimmune. So, and people pleasing. So when I found this research by Gabor Mate, I was just fascinated. And I looked into it quite a bit. There's a book that Dr. Mate wrote called When the Body Says No, Exploring the Stress Disease Connection. He tells a lot of his patients and people that he has studied and worked with at the end of their life. He asks everybody that he is privileged to be with at the end of their life a question, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. And he was, he is interested in finding out like what things did you experience. And again, with these autoimmune things, it always came back to, for women, people pleasing. And he came up with these 4 traits. And I want to go over those quickly with you today so that you can be aware of what they are in case you're doing them. You can break free from that. They're just habits, right? That we developed when we were young to cope with life, to survive, to stay safe in our environment. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it was a traumatic environment. I didn't have a traumatic upbringing, in the sense of what we think of when we think of extreme trauma. And I know some people that watch my lives have had that. But that can cause us those kind of experiences when we're growing up, very traumatic or not so traumatic. But our goal is to stay safe And we have to stay in the family unit to stay safe, to survive. It's just part of our nature, right? As a kid, we can't live on our own and survive. And so we rely on our caregivers to keep us safe. And sometimes that causes us then to develop patterns, like for me, to people please, to make sure I didn't disappoint somebody, to make sure I was the good girl, that I was the nice one, that I didn't hurt anybody's feelings, that I, you know, suppressed things because emotions were not welcome, right? Even sometimes happy emotions, overly happy could be not welcome. And so, what is an autoimmune disease? Our immune system is supposed to protect the body, right? Um it's part of that whole safety thing, as part of the way the nervous system helps keep us safe is through the immune system. So when we get an autoimmune disease, it's the immune system turning against the body. Again, examples are lupus, MS, I forgot to mention that one, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, fibromyalgia. I know there's somebody that watches and comes to the live stream sometimes, and she was a ICU nurse, and she stated that she had, I think, lupus, Hashimoto's, and maybe rheumatoid arthritis. It was 2 or 3, all autoimmune diseases, but she said in the chat one day in the live stream that she always put other people first, and then, of course, being a nurse on top of that, that was, her role, and we're gonna talk about that briefly. So, Dr. Gabor Mate always asked, "Why are women so disproportionately affected by these autoimmune diseases?" And it wasn't biology, again, it wasn't genetic. He found that it pointed to stress, trauma, and emotional patterns. And I want to talk about those 4 characteristics that he found. First, though, the mind body connection. So many times I never got that until probably less than 10 years ago, that there is a direct connection between what we think, how we act, and what ends up happening in our body, how our body responds to that. And our body keeps the score. Maybe you've heard that saying before. Stress doesn't just live in our head. It lives probably more so in our body, but we just don't sense it so much in our body. We sense it first in what we think is our head, right? Through our thoughts, through anxiety, through those ruminating thoughts that just won't stop. That's what we think of as stress. But that is directly happening to the body as well. So when we are in this stress state, which becomes chronic as a people pleaser, and again, the 4 characteristics are going to tell you more about why that is. The chronic stress that floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. And over time, that disrupts your immune system. It gets you in a dysregulated state where your immune system really can't do its job. And so it goes on the defense, it goes on the attack because it thinks that something is wrong and it thinks it can help you. Line said, "I sense stress in the body." Okay. Oh, I can get heart palpitations. Do you notice it? Is it in certain situations? That's interesting that you are aware of that and that you can directly relate it to stress. That is definitely, uh, a stress response. And over time, when that becomes chronic and it's happening all the time, it becomes we normalize it, right? We don't sense it so much anymore. And what our unconscious mind and body sees happening all the time, it starts to normalize it, and then it thinks is the that's the safety, right? That's the place where you're gonna stay safe. So then it's going to try and keep you in that stressed state because it sees it as normal. I hope that made sense. So when you repress emotions, any kind of emotions, happy, sad, angry, mad, disappointed, depressed, right? When you don't express them, not necessarily like anger in a outrage outburst type of way, but we can express anger in a healthy way, right? All of these emotions are coming to tell us something, to give us a message. But when we repress those emotions, we're also repressing our immune system. They are directly correlated. And Dr. Mate says when anger turns against the self, as it does in people who are unable to express it in a healthy way, hormonal imbalances can induce the immune system to wage war against the body. So, again, when we suppress things, when we don't express ourselves in a healthy way, I'm not saying outbursts, I'm not saying, you know, raging or even emotional, like sad outbursts. That used to be me. I used to just like get so emotionally distraught that I could not regulate myself. That was not healthy expression, right? So, this is where the people pleasing comes in. It's not just a habit, it ends up being a burden on the body. So, the four characteristics, number one is they always put other people's emotional needs ahead of their own. And I just want to be clear first before I go any further. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist, right? This is coming from the research that I have done, that I have read about, right? That other people have done, and from my own experiences. I have experienced this because I people pleased for about 55 years of my life without knowing how harmful it was. I thought I was doing I was doing what I was taught to do when I was young, and I thought it was a good thing. So, the first characteristic, always putting other people's emotional needs, any kind of needs really, ahead of our own, making sure that everyone else is okay first. Your needs then get put on the back burner, right? Or they're completely off the stove. They're not even in your sphere of recognition. And speaking of that, this is what happens to me, right? Like when I say that I'm going to be done at the top of the hour, and then a thought comes in that I want to share. But speaking of, it's not even in your sphere of awareness. I am hell bent on getting the next membership video posted today. And it's about how our blind spots keep us stuck. So we have a lot of things in our blind spots that that in our blind spot that we can't even see. It's just like a car driving in your blind spot. You don't know that it's there. And if you don't know that it's there, what happens? You could turn into it and cause an accident, right? We have a lot of things in our life that we don't even know that we don't know. And I created a tool called the blind spot assessment. And this video that I'm putting out today, I'm going to say it again because I'm going to get it into the membership today gives you this blind spot assessment tool that I created as part of the membership, and it is it is a way for you to become more aware of 7 areas of your life where you could be giving your power away without even knowing it. It's a really, great, easy tool. It takes you about 10 minutes to fill out this assessment, and then you get you it scores it gets a score, and then I take you through in the video how to start creating micro habits in the areas where you might feel, um, that might be your biggest blind spots that are keeping you stuck. So great tool. If you haven't joined the membership yet, would love to see you in there. I noticed that YouTube is offering, a month free. Uh, I don't know when it starts, when it stops. I don't know if it's happening right now. I don't know if it's for certain people or only a certain number of people, but, um, that might be available. If you want to check it out without any obligation, you can click the join button below this video and, check it out. There's a short little 2-minute video describing more of the benefits of being in the membership. There's already 2 videos in there currently, so you can go watch them. And the membership is only $6 a month, even if you do have to pay. So, with that said, back to what we were talking about. So, we don't know a lot of times what is not in our awareness, we cannot possibly know, right? So, many times, and that's what this video I hope to highlight, is maybe you aren't even aware that you're doing 1 or 2 or all of these 4 characteristics, and you could be putting yourself on a path of an autoimmune disease. Yes, what you said made sense. The situations that can trigger it are, for example, if my husband is stressed about money, he's the main economic provider for us. I feel others' emotions. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so feeling like sensing their emotions, right? Versus taking them on um and I get it when you're partners, right? Like it's hard to not um I guess support is good, but trying to fix it or take it on yourself is a different story, right? So it's kind of like just examining where do you fall in that. And Lena, I know you've shared like with your mom before. Um, could this possibly be playing into that, what you've shared? Like taking on, another person's emotions, not speaking your own. Well, and that will go into these other characteristics. So the second characteristic that he found was that these women who with autoimmune, and again, I see myself in all of these, they identify with their roles and duties rather than who they actually are. So I was the wife, the passive wife, the overgiving friend, and I didn't call myself that then, right? But I was the one to always people my friends would come to me for me to help them with their problems. I was always taking that on, and I thought it was a good thing. I thought, "Wow, they rely on me so much, and, I have solutions for them," but I would take on that energy. I would people please when my husband had the affair, no one knew about it except for a therapist. I started going to a counselor and she knew, but nobody in my world knew. None of my friends. I suppressed it. I put it down. I put myself on the back burner. I thought that was my second marriage, and I didn't want to be divorced a second time. And so I took on the role of almost like the martyr, but it was who I thought I had to be. Like, I had to be the forgiving wife, the one that, um, overlooked these things, right? But we need to start asking ourselves, like, who who am I outside of these relationships that I have with others? Like, right now, I have a 95-year-old mom, right? And I'm the only family that's here in the same, that's here in Phoenix where she lives. And so there's a lot of responsibility. I have to be really careful to not go overboard on what I do for her and for me. For her, she wants to keep her independence, and she's clearly capable right now, right? She's very healthy. I need to keep my independence as a person as well. And so I need to make sure that I don't cross that boundary with her or with myself. When your whole identity is your role, you basically have no self left, right? And I talked about this in a video. Like, we talk about, being selfish and selfless, right? But if you think about the word selfless, what other words end with less? Less basically means without or with less than. So we could say spineless or clueless, right? Without a spine, without a clue, hopeless, useless. Those are all really negative ones, but without hope, without use. If we say selfless, that means, which we think is the opposite of selfish, then we think then selfless ends up meaning without self. So who am I? Who am I if I'm not the self? That is wearing a mask and being what everybody else wants you to be. That's not being you as your authentic being that you were put here to be. Okay, any more votes in the poll? I don't see any more in there right now. Um, so that's number 2, identifying with roles and duties and rules rather than for other people rather than who you actually are. Number 3 is, we talked about this already a little bit, suppressing healthy anger. Lene said, my parents' relationship with money can very well be the reason money can stress me out a lot. And I've seen my mom put everyone else first, always. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I would love, Lene, for you to take the primal question assessment. That's a different assessment than what I am talking about, the blind spot assessment in the membership. The primal question assessment will tell you what is driving your life, the primal thing that's driving your life. And anybody can take this assessment at primalquestion.com. Yeah, primalquestion.com, I think is the website. I am certified in that methodology. It's amazing. It's an amazing methodology. But yes, when you grew up with, you know, people in your family being stressed about something, anything, it could be health, it could be money, it could be their relationship, it could be an addiction. Um, when they're stressed like that as a kid, we can't help but take that on, even though we're not purposefully taking it on, but we absorb everything. We're like little sponges when we're kids, right? So If you saw stress around money, then you definitely are going to have those thoughts, and they may not even be running in the forefront, but they're back there. They could be in a blind spot, right? But you seem to be aware of that. And then your mom always putting everyone else first. Yeah, those are going to end up being traits and habits that you most likely took on. Okay, it looks like maybe somebody changed their vote. Always putting others first. So suppressing healthy anger is the third trait that Dr. Mate pointed out. Being too nice, always keeping the peace, never rocking the boat, right? The phrase I remember the most, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? So that taught me two things. Only speak nicely, which I didn't even know who made, like, where was the rule book for that? So how did I know what was nice and what wasn't? And then, or don't speak at all. So I learned to not speak up. I learned to just suppress everything. Oh, am I safe? Interesting. I thought maybe it would be am I secure, but they're right next to each other. And so, yeah, that's interesting. I love I love that whole framework that, he has built. So, suppressing healthy anger, um, being too nice, always keeping the peace, um, Dr. Mate says that he literally worries about nice people because he knows he has seen the evidence of what happens to people who are too nice. And suppressed anger or any suppressed emotion doesn't disappear, it goes inward and our body absorbs it. It absorbs it, and then the nervous system has to manage that. And for you, Line, if yours is am I safe? You have a very like high alert system in your body of always more so than other people of always um unconsciously thinking you're in danger. And so when our body and mind sense that we're in danger, it keeps us in this stress state. It keeps us in fight or flight. And then it becomes normalized. And we just end up thinking it's just who I am, right? So becoming aware of it, becoming aware of these blind spots, right? And again, would love to have you in the membership to not you in particular, Line, although yes, you if that feels something that you're called to, but you watching this video, if you're interested in what's hiding in the blind spots, this blind spot assessment, which is in the membership, will be in a few hours, will tell you things that are hiding in your blind spot. And then you can, once you become aware of them, then you can start acting on them. But because before, but until we become aware of them, we can't do anything about them. Oh, I have 3 minutes left. Core need, physical and emotional safety, core fear, feeling trapped or in potential danger. Your kryptonite is unpredictability or negative surprises. Does that ring true for you? I'm curious to know. Like when I took that assessment and read those things for myself, I was like, "Holy crap. Mine is am I loved?" And my my core need is to be loved. And what happens then when I don't feel like I'm loved or wanted, then I go into what he calls the scramble. And the core thing of the scramble is people pleasing. And when I read that in the book, I was like, holy crap, this guy has nailed this. Yes, very true. Yeah, it gives me goosebumps. It's so good. If you want to dive deeper on that, Line, I would love to dive deeper with you on it. The fourth thing, the fourth trait, because now I have 2 minutes left. um, we feel responsible for how others feel, and we're terrified of disappointing them. Like I said earlier today, that was my my biggest hurdle to overcome, and I'm still jumping over it. The hurdle's not so big, it's not so monumental as it used to be, but I still catch myself sometimes, feeling like, "Oh, here we go," right? Like, I can sense that the dread or the but I recognize it now. I used to not even recognize it. I would just push it away, and whatever that feeling was, the guilt and all of that, the shame, and not speak up. Right? Because I didn't know why, but I thought that I was being who I was supposed to be, who I was taught to be. And so this weight of managing, that's basically managing their emotions, right? By me not speaking up in order to not disappoint them, to keep them comfortable, I am managing their emotions. I'm taking on the weight of how they might respond. I don't even know that they would be disappointed, right? But I just sense it because that came from a childhood thing where you became very emotionally attuned to other people's Line, for you, probably your parents, you became very emotionally attuned to what your parents were feeling or and even suppressing, right? But you became emotionally attuned to it, and then you started behaving in ways to not trigger that. And that's what we do as kids. Again, it's all a safety thing. It's all built around, am I safe? Because if I'm not safe, then I may not survive. I may not actually live. That's just our our primal brain speaking. So it's this constant anxiety then of, am I letting someone down? What if I say this? What if I do this? What if I don't do this? Right? It's this constant like hypervigilance around other people's emotions and how they're going to react. And am I going to let them down? Am I going to disappoint them? And that fear is a slow, constant stress, and it's constantly running in the background 24/7, right? And then we grow into adults and wonder why we these things happen to us that they do. But the thing about these 4 traits is many men were not taught this way, right? They weren't taught to suppress their emotions, other than, boys don't cry, that type of thing. But they weren't taught to be nice girls, to be good girls, to be, um, for the most part. I'm not saying none of them were, but this is much more prevalent in females, in women. And that's why women, 80% of all autoimmune diseases occur in women because of these 4 traits that we've carried throughout our lifetime. So again, it's not biology, it's a cultural issue. And society tells women we can have it all, right? But that basically means if we want to have it all, we have to do it all. Everything, work, parenting, caregiving, housework, managing everyone's emotions with no emotional outlet, right? Like we're not allowed. Or are you on, like how many times when you were younger, hopefully not, but you know, you were dismissed or ridiculed for having your period or, being hormonal or, and we've probably done it to ourselves too, gaslit ourselves and said we shouldn't be feeling this way when that is part of being female is going through all of that, all of the natural stuff. But then we add on top of that the ability to not be able to express ourselves because we were told not to. And it all becomes this cocktail of that can add up into later immune diseases. And the body eventually says no, even when you won't say no, right? The body eventually will start shutting down in ways. Like for me, it was my thyroid. And that told me, now I can see it. I didn't see it then. That told me you are not using your voice because your thyroid sits right next to your voice box. So this is a wake up call, right? This is about awareness. And again, I invite you, to jump into the membership because that's where I do deeper dive videos to give you more awareness about things that are happening in your life. Your symptoms may be your body trying to tell you something. Your heart palpitations might be your body, Line, trying to tell you something. And I would start maybe tracking, when do you notice those the most? um, I don't think you said that in particular. Oh, you said if your husband is stressed about money. Um, like, are there other times that you notice it, in social situations or, um, lack of sleep, um, whatever? Are there times, and then maybe you can start seeing the common thread between all of them. What is my body trying to tell me that I don't yet understand? And again, Dr. Mate says, like, what is my body trying to say that I'm not yet getting? Healing for us as people pleasers starts with learning that our needs matter too. And it's not too late to start, on that journey of learning boundaries if that's hard for you, speaking up for yourself. And boundaries aren't against the other person, they are for you. Boundaries have nothing to do with another person. They are for you to protect your time, your energy, your well being. They have nothing to do with the other person. And maybe that's another live that I need to do. Does that interest you? Um, are boundaries a thing that you struggle with? I always think, like, I thought, yeah, women who set boundaries, they're bitchy, they're mean, they're aggressive, right? I never saw it as a positive thing because I thought they were wrong. Again, it came from me, being taught not to speak up. Now I'm 6 minutes past. So, the 4 characteristics, right? Always putting others first, living by the rules and the roles that you think you have to live by, suppressing healthy anger, which means not saying no, or comes from not saying no. It's kind of a catch 22 there. And then, fearing disappointing other people and taking responsibility for how other people feel. Hi, Katrina. Thanks for coming in. Boundaries are so I can love me and you at the same time. Though that's awesome. Yes, I think that's what you were trying to say. Right, exactly. Boundaries are so I can love me and you at the same time. Without them, and again, they are not about the other person. Um, just a reminder that research shows that almost 80% of all autoimmune diseases occur in women. And if you're just joining now, the replay will be up shortly. You can go back and watch what the 4 characteristics are of what Dr. Gabor Mate found in his research, why women get autoimmune diseases so much more often than men, 4 out of 5 times, right? That's a huge percentage. 8 out of 10 women, not 8 out of 10 women, 8 out of 10 autoimmune diseases occur in women. Okay. You think a lot of it is hormonal, perimenopause, but it can be triggered by stress too. I found out that I need electrolytes and then I don't experience. Oh, interesting. So, yeah, um, that's good to know, right? That you're like physically supporting the body in that way. And I know sometimes when my thyroid is a little off, I will get heart palpitations. I don't know if that's a thing for you, but yeah, our hormones fluctuating like they do, especially in perimenopause. Oh my gosh. Like I'm past that now, but those fluctuations are there. That's mean. um, People that don't go through that uh, do not understand. They do not understand. So it's good that you've found ways to support yourself. And I love that you go camping, get out in nature, right, Line? That's a way that you are supporting your body to not live in this fight or flight in this stressed place all the time, because like I said, when we do that for long enough it becomes normalized and we don't even recognize that it's there, and then an autoimmune or something pops up and we're like, wait, where did that come from, when in reality we've been living in a stress state for so long that the body just couldn't take it anymore. If there's someone that needs to hear this, some woman in your life, pass on this, my channel or this replay to them once it gets up on replay. Again, I would love for anyone that feels called, click the join button below. There's a short little video there on what is in the Inner Circle membership, and a new video will be going in there today, later today, about finding your blind spots and using this blind spot assessment tool that I created specifically to do that, to give you more awareness around areas of your life that might be keeping you stuck. So I would love to support you in the membership. If it's not free at this time, YouTube is offering some promotions and they come and go. There's no rhyme or reason and I'm not notified. So I can't tell you, hey, join now because it's free, but you might click on the join button and it might be free. Otherwise, it's $6 a month. And you can stay for a month, watch the videos, leave if you want, or stay for a year. It's up to you. Oh, let's see, insight and awareness. Oh, insight and awareness. I like it. I used to have heart palpitations in my 20s and 30s. I might have been anemic. Ah, interesting. Okay. Oh, Lena says I was low in iron too, but not anymore. More red meat helped me with that. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome that you're, not ignoring those things. So, insight, thanks for being here. Welcome. Where are you coming in from? We're just finishing up, but I would love to know uh, because your channel name is new to me. I don't recognize it, although I've slept since the last time I had a live. So if I don't recognize you, and I should, then I apologize for that. Oh, and Katrina, I didn't see. Oh, wait. No, I did say boundaries are so I can love me and you at the same time. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate you all. I'm from, Washington. Is it Kamano? Kamano Island, I'm guessing. Kamano Island. Oh, that's cool. Cool, cool. Welcome. I appreciate you being here so much. So that's what I have for you today. I did put the link, and it's a Amazon link, for Dr. Gabor. He's written many books, but this is the one, When the Body Says No. It has a lot of stories in there, of people that he has worked with, that he's known their stories, found out their stories. He talks about, you know, autoimmune, cancer, all sorts of things like that. And There again, the link is down in the description of this video if you want to order that. It is an affiliate link. I get, a few cents if you order from my link and you don't pay any extra. So it's one way for you to support the channel in an easy way. There's also a whole list of books that I love down in the description. So if you're looking for a good book to help you in a certain area of your life, I have a bunch listed that have helped me a lot. Thank you for today, Heidi. Lene said, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I will see you. I do a live stream every Wednesday at 2:22 Eastern time. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And take care. Have a great week, everyone. I will see you next week or in comments on a video. I appreciate you being here. Bye.